Well, hi there, slot car fans. It's Ian here again, and I'm just going to do a quick off-the-cuff video to update you after qualifying today. So, in the previous video, you would have seen the footage from the track. I showed a couple of the qualifying runs of a couple of the guys, and you probably need some context to explain that a little bit more. So, I'm going to explain the structure of the qualifying and the results, because in some ways the qualifying went better for me than I actually expected, so I wanted to get that onto on the record, because I'm pretty excited by the result and by the way my car felt. So I'll go into more detail about that in a moment. So first of all, let's explain the structure of the qualifying part of the weekend. So Saturday is taken up with three main activities. There's a bit of practice in the morning, same format as before, not to worry about that for now. The next thing is there was tech scrutineering. So you have to get your car approved by the technical authority for the race, the race director, the technical director, and that's the second activity. Actually, there's four, thinking about it. The third activity is the concourse competition. And the fourth element is obviously the qualifying itself. So let's look at those in order. I'm not going to go into detail about the practice. The practice is fairly, what it is what it is. You just get some runs and away you go, and you try and set your best times or set your car up how you want it. That's practice. The second activity, tech inspection. So you have to present your car with the body off, so that the technical director can then have a good look at the way you've put your car together to make sure there's no illegal setup, illegal componentry, modifications, etc., etc. And then you put the body back on once he's satisfied and he gives you the big tick. Then you put the lid of the car back on, and then you put it into the parc ferme box, so that then you have no more access to the car until qualifying later in the day. So that's tech inspection. I was called in for tech inspection at 10 a.m. this morning, and my car went through first time. I was fairly happy about that, because I did make a number of changes to my car since yesterday, based on conversations with some of the local guys who know the track better than I do, and they gave me a couple of pointers as about the way I should change my car, etc. So I made those changes, and I tested them this morning. And then I put the car in for tech inspection. One of the changes that I made also was the fact that I used my concourse body, my race car body, not the test one. So the Budweiser livery body, which I don't really like, that was my test mule body. I was happy for that to take damage during testing. I wasn't really bothered, and I wanted to protect my concourse body. So this morning, Saturday morning, I ran the race body for the first time, and it actually performed really well. It floated on the chassis the way that I wanted it. It behaved very similarly to the test body, so I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, so it went through tech inspection with its concourse body. So that was the second activity completed. The third activity was the concourse competition. Not quite as simple as I've seen it in other competitions. So there were I don't know how the entry was done, but let's assume that there were 70 people at the store today who were competing. They would have all been, eligible to go into the concourse, and the top 10 were chosen by Maurizio Ferrari, the head of Slot.It. He chose them himself. He picked out the top 10 as he saw it, and they were, if you like, the short list for the finals of the concourse event. I was fortunate. My car got called into the top 10, and I was fairly hopeful that I might get some kind of result out of it. I had a lot of positive comments from colleagues and fellow racers throughout the week. They thought it was a nice livery. If you remember, it's a silk cut Jag livery that I did on the Jaguar XJR10 body. Now that is not a model and livery that combination that Slot.It yet do, and I think that may have confused some people, because I think that livery definitely appeared on the Slot.It XJR9. So that livery has been seen by people on a Jag already. And there's me putting it out there on a different Jag. And if you're not close to racing, if you're not close to the Slot.It product range, you might not have noticed that that was, you know, a difference. You know, obviously, to my mind, the reason I did it is because I thought it was a worthwhile thing to do. To somebody else, it might say, another silk cut livery. So what? You know, you can buy those from Slot.It directly. So what the hell? And then that's on me. You know, I should have maybe thought of that if I wanted to do particularly well in the concourse. So yeah, there's the top 10. From the top 10, all of the drivers get to vote for their top 3 out of out of that 10. So we all voted, and I didn't make the top 3 cut. I didn't make it. There were 3 other cars that came in at least 3 cars that came in ahead of me. I don't know if I came 4th or 10th. I don't know. So yeah, those 3 went forward, and then after that, it was a Facebook vote. So once the top 3 were announced, Electric Dreams put up a Facebook page with you know, voting options for your choice of top 3. Mine wasn't in there, as I just said, so I immediately lost interest. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but I have to say, on reflection, maybe doing a silk cut livery on a Jag wasn't the way to go. I enjoyed doing it, and I got a lot of pleasure out of it, and I'm really happy with the result. But that doesn't mean to say that people who are voting for it have to see it the same way. You know, they just see a silk cut Jag and they think, well, you can buy those direct from Slot.It. What's the big deal? You know. So yeah, I've probably you know, learned something there. However, I got enormous fun making it and doing it, and I will enjoy racing it tomorrow. So that was the concourse. I still don't know who won, actually, because I don't think the results of the Facebook vote are in yet. And then lastly was qualifying. Now, qualifying is structured in a particular way. It's actually a little bit similar to Formula One. So again, 70 races at the beginning of the day. Everybody gets a qualifying run. And the clips that I showed you, or the clip that I showed you in the previous video, is a clip of 2 of the guys who were running, Paul from Detroit and Steve from Kentucky. And I just showed their qualifying runs as an example of what everybody was doing. So that's Q1, if you like. So a bit like Formula One, you go through Q1, and the top, so however many, go through, and the bottom, however many, get knocked out. And in this case, it's the top 12 who go through to Q2. So I did a qualifying run in that initial group of 70, and my time was a 6.51. And now I was very happy with that time for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was almost identical to the fastest time that I had done so far in practice across the whole week. So pretty much my best ever time. So I felt like I got the most out of the car. So I was really happy with that. And the second reason I was so happy with it is it did actually put me into the top 12. In fact, I think I came in 6th or 7th. I haven't taken the time to confirm that, but I was around that kind of number. So I was 6th or 7th, which I was over the moon with. When you consider the quality of the top end of the field, I was very happy with 6th or 7th. However, just as in Formula One, if you make it into the next qualifying session, your times are wiped and you start again. So we started again, the top 12 started again, and off we went, and we all had more time, 2 minutes in this case, to set a new time for ourselves. And so from Q1 my time was 6.51, as I mentioned. In Q2 I managed a 6.60, and I felt that the track had changed a little bit. It wasn't quite as grippy, and I didn't get one clean lap. In all of my 2 minutes, I didn't get a clean lap. There was at least one corner where the tail got away from me a little bit. I tried to settle it down. I tried to dial the controller back, and I tried to just go a little bit gentler into the corners, and think all the usual things that you do to try and settle the car down. But still, I did a 6.60. Now, that isn't a disastrous time. It's only 0.09 of a second slower than my Q1 time, but it dropped me from 6th, 7th, whichever it was, down to 11th. So my final qualifying position was 11th. Now again, I'm pretty happy with that overall. I wish it was 6th or 7th. I wish I was able to retain that pace, but I only dropped 900ths, and I came in 11th out of 70. So I'm reasonably happy with that, considering that I'm an outsider. So I'm pretty much the top non-Californian. So if you imagine you've got the Southern Californian guys here who race at Electric Dreams on a regular basis, and you've got the NorCal guys from the San Francisco area who frequently race at Electric Dreams, especially on the big events. And they also they do a lot of knowledge sharing as well. You have a bunch of guys who share a lot of knowledge, build cars for each other, true tires for each other. So you're getting very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Optimized cars that are optimized for that track. And it is a tricky track, and it's got evolution, and it requires a lot of knowledge how to drive that track quickly. So 11th. I'm pretty happy with. Yeah, have I missed an opportunity being 6th or 7th in Q1? I don't think so. The guys who were ahead of me were always going to be fast, always. And they're the local guys. They know what they're doing. They're good drivers, and they know the track. So you have to have reasonable expectations. So from that group of 12, where I came 11th out of, the top 6 then go into another shootout into Q3. So that again, their times are wiped, and off they go again, trying to set their time in Q3 to sort out positions, pole to 6th. And that was interesting as well. There were some very fast times set in there, and Ian Douglas got pole, and I can't remember who the following drivers were after that. I think Todd Ullery got second. Todd was setting some consistent times. I think he looks good. Brandon Phillips, I thought, did a really good job, considering he's not done very much racing lately. If you watched the qualifying video, he's the one with the red beard and his arm in a sling from a motorcycle accident. So I thought he did very well, and I thought he looks good for possibly a finals place if he can maintain that consistency that he showed in qualifying. So there were some good performances there. Braid and Pollard, I don't think he's happy with the pace of his car and the times that he got. I think he had been quicker during practice. I think his car is not quite as fast as it was before, but that's possibly the same for most people. He'll be a threat during the race. He really will. Yeah, so I'm trying to think who else did well. Justin Colvin did a good job. Yeah, these guys are they're all going to be there or thereabouts. So now the reason I'm happy with my car, I mentioned right at the start of the video that I'm happy with my car. One, from a qualifying position perspective, but also my car was phenomenally consistent. I was able to bang out 6 laps. On the bounce. I'm hoping that's going to translate into a nice consistent race pace that I can convert into heats where I don't come off and where I just accumulate laps and keep doing that. So my target for the race tomorrow has to be better than last year, and last year I finished 13th. So if I finish better than that in the race, that will be 12th or better, which means that I would have made the semi-finals. So it's a tall order, not knowing the track like the locals, the California guys do in particular. But hey, why not shoot for the moon? You might hit it. So I'm going to go for it. It's what I'm here for. I'm not here to sort of pussyfoot around and say, oh, I'm happy with 38th or whatever. No, if I come in 38th, I'm going to look pretty silly, aren't I? But you know what I mean. If I'm here to compete, let's compete. Let's go for it, and do the best I can. So yeah, I wanted to give that update because without this sort of context over the previous video with the footage of the guys qualifying, might not have made very much sense. So hopefully I've clarified a little bit what was going on there and how it related to the final qualifying positions, and I've given you a bit of information about how I did and how I'm feeling. So yeah, it's late now. I'm tired. It's a big day tomorrow, exciting day tomorrow. The fact that I've qualified 11th means that I won't necessarily be racing early in the race session tomorrow. So the first few heats will be the guys who qualified at the bottom of the 70. The first few races, I should say, will be those guys who qualified in the bottom end, and you gradually work your way upwards. And if you're 11th, I think you'll be like me. I think you'll be in the second to last heat, as it were. And then I think the results of those 12 heats, I think, help to determine the bump heat and the semi-final places, some of the semi-final places. Bearing in mind, something I forgot to mention earlier, sorry about the qualifying, was that the top 3 qualifiers don't need to run in the heats. They get an automatic free pass through to the semi-finals. So of the 12 semi-final spaces, the top 3 places are already taken by the top 3 qualifiers from today. So the rest of us are fighting over the remaining 9 places in the semi-finals. And my target, as I say, my target is to get into those semi-finals, because at that point in time, if you make it that far, all bets are off, and you never know what can happen in a semi-final, as those of you who've competed before will know. So let's see how we go. I'm having a great time. I know I look tired in all these videos, but I'm having a great time, and I hope you are enjoying the content. So stay safe, look after each other, and do something kind for somebody today, please. Thanks very much. Cheers now. Bye.